Have you ever woken up in the morning and felt like your knees had aged 10 years overnight? The moment you try to stand, a sharp ache shoots through your joints. Your fingers feel stiff, your hips feel tight, and for a few seconds, even something as simple as walking across the room feels like a challenge. Many people over 60 quietly accept this pain. They tell themselves, this is just what getting older feels like. So they move slower, rely more on pain pills, and hope the stiffness will somehow fade with time. But what if the real problem isn't simply age? After more than 30 years caring for older adults, I've seen something surprising again and again. In many cases, painful joints are not just worn out. They are struggling because the body is missing a small but essential nutrient. And when that missing piece is restored, the joints often begin to change in ways people never expected. Let's start with the first thing most people over 60 never realize about arthritis. 1. The hidden nutrient many arthritic joints are missing. Before we talk about relief, we need to understand something many people over 60 are never told. When joints begin to ache, most people assume the damage is simply from years of use. They imagine the joints as old hinges that have slowly worn out with time. But in many older adults I have cared for, the real problem was not only wear and tear. The joint was quietly struggling because it was missing something the body depends on every single day. Your joints are living parts of your body. They are not dry pieces of bone rubbing together. Inside every joint are tiny structures that help the area stay flexible, nourished, and able to move without pain. These tissues rely on a steady supply of energy and nourishment. When that supply becomes weak, the joint begins to stiffen, swell, and hurt. One small vitamin plays a surprising role in this process. That vitamin is vitamin B1. Vitamin B1 helps the body turn food into energy that cells can actually use. Without enough of it, the cells around your joints struggle to do their work. Over time, the area becomes irritated and inflamed, which can make everyday movement painful. I remember one patient who helped me understand how quietly this can happen. Her name was Mrs. Helen, a 72-year-old grandmother who loved gardening. For years, she started every morning by watering her flowers, but gradually, her fingers became so stiff that even gripping the hose felt painful. She assumed it was simply old age. She told me, "Doctor, I guess my hands have just reached their limit." But when we looked closer, we discovered something many older adults share. Her body was very low in vitamin B1. After carefully improving her intake of this vitamin, something unexpected began to happen. Within a few weeks, she noticed that her hands felt less stiff in the mornings. A month later, she told me she had gone back outside to water her garden again. It wasn't an overnight miracle, but the change was real enough that she could feel it in her daily life. Stories like hers are more common than many people realize. As we age, the body often absorbs vitamins less efficiently. Certain medications, changes in digestion, and years of small dietary imbalances can slowly lower the level of vitamin B1 in the body. When that happens, the joints may begin sending signals of distress long before we recognize the cause. And this brings us to an important question. If vitamin B1 is so important for joint health, why do so many people over 60 still end up deficient, even when they believe they are eating well? 2. Why many people over 60 are quietly running low on vitamin B1. So why does this happen? Why would something as small and essential as vitamin B1 slowly disappear from the body, even in people who believe they are eating well? The truth is that the body changes in quiet ways after 60. These changes are gentle at first, almost invisible. But over time, they can make it much harder for the body to hold on to certain nutrients. One of the first changes happens in the stomach. When we are younger, the stomach produces strong digestive juices that help break down food and release vitamins. But as the years pass, that process slows down. The same meal that once nourished the body easily may now deliver only a fraction of the nutrients it once did. Many older adults are surprised when they hear this. They say, "But doctor, I eat the same foods I always have." And that may be true. The difference is not always the food. Sometimes the difference is how the body processes it. Medication can also play a quiet role. Many people over 60 take medicines every day to manage blood pressure, blood sugar, or stomach discomfort. These medicines can be helpful and often necessary, but some of them gently drain certain vitamins from the body over time. It does not happen overnight. It happens slowly, year after year. I remember a patient named Mr. Daniel, a retired bus driver in his late 60s. He came to see me because the pain in his knees had become so stubborn that even short walks were difficult. He loved taking his grandchildren to the park, but lately he found himself sitting on the bench instead of walking beside them. When we spoke about his daily routine, everything sounded healthy. He ate regular meals. He tried to stay active. He followed his doctor's advice carefully, but he had also been taking several medications for many years. When we checked his nutrient levels, we found something he had never suspected. His body was running low on vitamin B1. Over time, that small shortage had quietly weakened the way his joints were being supported from within. His body simply did not have enough of that key nutrient to keep things working smoothly. Once we began correcting that shortage, his body slowly began to respond. The change did not happen overnight, but little by little he noticed that walking felt easier again. Stories like this raise an important question. If so many older adults are low in vitamin B1, even when they try to take care of themselves, then the next thing we need to understand is this. Why do ordinary vitamin tablets often fail to solve the problem? 3. Why ordinary vitamin B1 often does not help aging joints. At this point, many people ask a very reasonable question. If the body needs vitamin B1 so much, why doesn't a simple vitamin tablet solve the problem? After all, many older adults already take daily vitamins. They swallow the pill each morning, believing they are giving their body everything it needs. And yet the stiffness in their knees continues. The aching in their fingers remains. The morning pain still greets them when they step out of bed. The answer is not that vitamin B1 is unimportant. The answer is that the body sometimes struggles to use the form that most tablets contain. Think of it like watering a plant. You can pour water on the ground, but if the soil is too hard, much of that water runs away before the roots can drink it. The plant is surrounded by water, yet it is still thirsty. Something similar can happen inside the aging body. The common form of vitamin B1 found in many supplements dissolves easily in water. That sounds helpful, but it also means the vitamin can pass through the body quickly before enough of it reaches the places that truly need it. As we grow older, this challenge becomes even greater. The body's ability to absorb and hold certain nutrients becomes weaker. A vitamin may enter the bloodstream, but only a small portion may actually reach the tissues that support the joints. I once saw this happen with a patient named Mr. Lewis, a 70-year-old man who had been faithfully taking a daily vitamin for nearly a decade. Despite his efforts, the stiffness in his hands had become so severe that buttoning his shirt in the morning took several minutes. He was frustrated and confused. "Doctor," he said, "I've been taking vitamins for years. Why are my joints still getting worse?" When we looked closely, we discovered something many people never hear about. His body was receiving vitamin B1, but not in a form that could easily reach the areas where it was needed most. In other words, the vitamin was present, but the body was not truly benefiting from it. Once we adjusted the way his body received this nutrient, the change was gradual but meaningful. Within several weeks, he noticed that the stiffness in his fingers was easing. Small tasks that once felt difficult began to feel natural again. Moments like these remind us that sometimes the issue is not simply taking a vitamin. Sometimes it is about making sure the body can actually use it. And this leads us to the next important step. If ordinary forms of vitamin B1 often fall short for older adults, what form of this vitamin can the body absorb more effectively to support aging joints? 4. The form of vitamin B1 the aging body can absorb more easily. So if ordinary vitamin B1 often passes through the body too quickly, the next question becomes very important. Is there a form that the body can use more easily, especially after the age of 60? The answer is yes. And understanding this small difference has changed the way many older adults approach their joint health. There is a special form of vitamin B1 called benfotiamine. While the name may sound unfamiliar, the idea behind it is very simple. This form of vitamin B1 is able to move through the body more easily and reach the tissues that ordinary forms sometimes struggle to nourish. Think of it like rain soaking into soft soil instead of running off a hard surface. When the soil is ready to absorb the water, the roots of the plant finally receive what they need. The aging body often responds in a similar way. Because this form of vitamin B1 moves through the body differently, it can reach areas where support is needed most, including the tissues around joints that have been stiff or painful for years. I remember a woman named Margaret who came to see me shortly after her 65th birthday. She had always been active. She loved walking through her neighborhood each morning, greeting the same neighbors and enjoying the quiet start of the day. But over time, her knees began to stiffen so badly that even a short walk around the block became uncomfortable. At first, she believed it was simply age catching up with her. Like many people, she had already tried ordinary vitamins and occasional pain relief. The improvement was small and never lasted long. When we spoke about her daily routine, we decided to try supporting her body with a form of vitamin B1 that could be absorbed more easily. The change was not dramatic overnight, but after several weeks, she told me something that stayed with me. One morning, she stepped outside for her usual walk and suddenly realized she had reached the end of the street without thinking about her knees at all. For someone living with daily joint pain, that small moment can feel enormous. Stories like Margaret's remind us that the body often has a remarkable ability to recover when it finally receives the support it has been missing. But there is one more piece to understand. Even when the right form of vitamin B1 is used, many people still make one simple mistake that can slow down the body's ability to calm joint pain. And that mistake is something we need to talk about next. 5. The one daily habit that can quietly undo your joint healing. Even when the body finally receives the right form of vitamin B1, there is one quiet habit that can slow down the improvement many older adults are hoping for. And the surprising part is that this habit is very common, especially after retirement. It has to do with sugar. Now, most people do not think of sugar when they think about aching joints. They imagine that sweets affect weight or blood sugar levels. But over many years of caring for older patients, I have seen how regular sugar intake can quietly make joint pain harder to calm. When the body receives too much sugar day after day, it creates a kind of internal irritation. This irritation does not always appear suddenly. Instead, it builds slowly. Tissues become more sensitive, swelling lingers longer, and joints begin to feel stiff and tired more easily. For someone already dealing with arthritis, this can make recovery much slower. I once worked with a patient named Robert, a 71-year-old grandfather who loved his afternoon routine. Every day around 3 o'clock, he would sit at the kitchen table with a cup of sweet tea and a small pastry. It was a simple pleasure that reminded him of years past. But Robert had also been struggling with painful hands and swollen knuckles. Some mornings he could barely close his fingers around a coffee mug. When we talked about his daily habits, he was surprised when I mentioned the effect sugar could have on joint comfort. At first he laughed gently and said, "Doctor, it's just one little treat." But after we reduced those daily sweets and supported his body with the right vitamin B1, something began to change. A few weeks later, he returned to my office with a quiet smile. He said the stiffness in his hands had eased enough that he could once again hold his granddaughter's hand during their walks. For him, that small moment meant more than any number on a medical chart. Stories like Robert's remind us that the body often responds best when several small pieces fall into place at the same time. The right nutrient can support the body from within, but daily habits can either help that process or quietly slow it down. When we begin to remove the things that irritate the joints and provide the nutrients the body has been missing, something remarkable can happen. The body often remembers how to care for itself again. And this is the message I want you to carry with you as we reach the end of this discussion about vitamin B1 and joint health. 6. Conclusion. A small change today can protect your joints tomorrow. Growing older has a quiet way of changing the body. The changes rarely happen all at once. Instead, they arrive slowly, almost silently. One morning, the knees feel a little stiffer. Another day, the fingers take longer to loosen. Many people simply accept these moments as the unavoidable price of aging. But what we have talked about today tells a different story. The body after 60 is more delicate, yes, but it is also incredibly responsive when it receives the support it has been missing. Joint pain does not always mean the body is worn out beyond repair. Sometimes it means the body is asking for something it no longer receives in the same way it once did. Vitamin B1 is one of those quiet pieces that many older adults lose without realizing it. As digestion slows, medications increase, and diets change over the years, the level of this vitamin can quietly fall. When that happens, the tissues that support the joints begin to struggle. Stiffness appears. Movement becomes painful. The body begins sending signals that something is wrong. But when that missing support is restored, many people begin to notice small but meaningful changes. The morning stiffness may ease. The joints may move more freely. Simple daily tasks begin to feel less overwhelming. For older adults, these changes matter deeply. Being able to stand up without fear of pain, to open a jar, to walk across the room without hesitation, these are not small things. They are the foundations of independence. What you do today can shape how your body feels not only tomorrow, but in the years ahead. If you begin paying attention to your body now, supporting it with the nutrients it needs, reducing habits that irritate the joints, and making small adjustments with care, the next 1 to 5 years of your life can look very different. Many older adults who make these changes find that they remain active longer. They continue walking with friends, gardening in the morning light, or playing with grandchildren without constant discomfort. Aging will always bring change. That is part of life. But decline is not always as inevitable as people are led to believe. The body has a remarkable ability to respond when we listen to its signals and provide the support it needs. So if today's discussion has helped you understand your joints a little better, consider sharing this message with someone you care about who may be living with the same silent discomfort. And if you would like to continue learning simple, practical ways to protect your health after 60, I invite you to subscribe to the Senior Health Channel. Because the goal is not simply to live longer. The goal is to keep living well, with strength, comfort, and independence for as many years as possible. If this video helped you understand your joints and health a little better, please take a moment to support the channel. Click the like button so more people over 60 can discover this information. Share this video with a friend, a parent, or someone in your family who struggles with joint pain. I would also love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me how your joints have been feeling lately. And if you care about staying strong, active, and independent after 60, don't forget to subscribe to the Senior Health Channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next video.